Assalamu alaikum. Barcelona nil, Atletico Madrid 2. And honestly, coming from a Real Madrid fan, a lot of you guys are not going to like what I'm going to say, but I hate Atletico, right? And I hate them more than I dislike Barcelona. And I would much rather saying or wishing that the result was them losing instead of them beating Barcelona. And like I said, for a while now, Barcelona is a team that I don't really hate. I see them as a rival, our biggest rival, yes. But I don't have that hate in me to just hate the players and hate, I guess, whoever it is. For example, the president, whenever he throws shots at Real Madrid, yes, I hate when they do that. Even when Perez throws shots at whatever, even though Perez doesn't do that much often. But my point is that Atletico Madrid, you guys know the way their fans are, the stadium, the atmosphere there, the way Simeone is as a manager, the way his attitude is towards Real Madrid. I just don't like Atletico Madrid. And this result really saddened me. I did not expect Barcelona to lose against Atletico Madrid. At the very least, not even by 2 goals. Maybe by 1 goal. Because, honestly, with this Barcelona team, I've been said it, and I'll say it again. They are one of the top dominant teams in Europe. Last season they were. This season as well. They got 1 trophy already to their name. They're about to secure a second one, which is La Liga. And they've been doing good in the Champions League up until now. So my question is, right, when it comes to Barcelona, is that when it comes to Atletico Madrid, right, why does it, like, there's no confidence, in my opinion, that I see from, like, the player or the manager. Now, I'm being very honest. You guys can see it by the body language, the difference in how Barcelona's attitude is towards Atletico Madrid compared to with Real Madrid. If they went up against us, you guys can see the fight in them and everything. But when they go up against Atletico Madrid now, I don't know what turns off in them. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's just the tactics. I don't know if it's just, I don't know, like the build up to the match. But like, I really have no answers. Barca got a red card today, and in my opinion, Barcelona, in my opinion, I think played way better when they had 10 men than when they had 11 people on the pitch. The pressing was still there. They were still putting on that intensity. They were controlling a lot of the ball possession. I mean, if you look at the momentum, Barcelona is the red on this momentum bar right here. The red card happened at halftime. And look at the momentum bar in the second half. They did not slow down. If anything, they have more momentum built up in the second half compared to the first half. And that is not okay. I mean, it's nice they have 10 men and they were not playing safe and they were still, dominating, right? But why is it when it comes to Atletico Madrid, this happens with Barcelona? They suffered a defeat. They got eliminated by Atletico Madrid in the Copa del Rey. I think so. It was Copa del Rey. Yeah. They beat them this weekend. And now I do want to talk about the weekend, but before I do, let me just stick with this and then I'll talk about the weekend, if I do even remember to bring that up. But looking at the lineup really quick, this goalie, now I don't know what's going on with Oblak. I have not been keeping up. Is he even on the bench? Oblak, is he injured? Oh, he's in. Okay, makes sense. All right, he was doubtful. Brilliant saves today. This goalie made magnificent saves today and never heard of him. And if it wasn't for him, I think Lamine had chances. Marcus Rashford had chances. Daniel Olmo. I mean, there's a lot of chances that Barcelona created. I mean, if we go and look at the stats, total shots, Barcelona had 18, but they only had 1 big chance. But in reality, there were a lot of big chances, but maybe it got deflected, whatever it is. Atletico Madrid played a brilliant game today. Now, I do want to jump and talk about the weekend and everything, but here's my thing with Atletico Madrid. We know that they're known for this haram ball, right? The way they play, the way they park the bus, whatever you guys want to call it. They play with that tactic almost every single time or against almost any single team. But today against Barcelona, you guys can tell and see by the way they played. Now I could be wrong. I've probably seen it in a complete different aspect. But they played in they played in a more threatening way compared to how they usually play when they park the bus and, after they score. I mean, they could have just parked the bus, but they were still attacking and they were still pressing, which honestly surprised me because if you know Atletico Madrid, you know how they usually play. I mean, I'm sure you Atletico Madrid fans can tell me how they usually play, defensively, obviously. But there was a lot of pressing in this game. There was a lot of pressing when it comes to defensive work. But then, now that I think about it, Barcelona did have only 10 men. But at the same time, Atletico Madrid weren't scared even when they had 11 men on the pitch. So my question, the reason why I want to talk about the weekend so bad is why didn't they play like this on the weekend? Why did they, in my eyes, look like that they lost against Barcelona kind of on purpose? Or at the very least, they didn't even want to try. Because you guys can see in this game right here, they clearly wanted to try. And they clearly wanted to get the win. It was as broad as daylight. You guys can see it. The tactics, the mindset, everything just shifted with Atletico Madrid this week in the UCL. But I'm telling you, if you go back and watch La Liga, where it was Barcelona and Atletico Madrid, you could see that they did not have the same intensity as they had in this game right here. And the worst part about it is that here, they were at Barcelona's home stadium as well. And they played like they were playing at home stadium. I mean, what more is there to it? Simeone, in the weekend after the match, stayed and shook hands with Flick. And I believe he said to him that you're still going to come back here next week, which is, I guess, Atletico Madrid Stadium. I don't know what it is, but don't quote me on this, but it was something like that. He left a message for Flick, but he shook his hand. And then when you look at this game right here, Simeone ran through the tunnel. Now, I don't know if he shook hands with Flick, but he just ran to the tunnel. He was making sure that the ref blew his whistle, and then he ran. Why? I don't know. But my point is that Atletico Madrid, if they really lost against Barcelona on the weekend on purpose, for whatever reason, and made sure that Barcelona gets the gap between Real Madrid and Barcelona, that is a low ball move. Very, very low ball move. And I'm really sad that Barcelona lost today. I'm really upset. Because like I said, yes, Barcelona is our rivals, but when we talk about which team I dislike the most, it's going to be Atletico Madrid. Just by how they're represented as a team, as a club, as whatever. Now, it's going back to Barcelona, right? Because I think I gave too much props and spoke a lot about Atletico Madrid. Let's go back to Barcelona. I don't see their highline being the issue in this game. I don't think it was the highline. Usually when Barcelona concedes or loses, it's usually the highline. Julian Alvarez scored a brilliant free kick after that red card from Kubarsi, where the first thing I said is if Julian Alvarez was going up against Real Madrid, he was going to score that free kick. And then the ref blew the whistle. Julian Alvarez scored. I thought he was not going to score because he wants to join Barcelona. I mean, it looks like it. In my eyes, it looks like he wants to join Barcelona. So I thought he was not going to score. Not on purpose, obviously, but I just thought he was not going to score, because I think mindset shifts compared to depending on the team that you go up against. Coming from a non-professional football player, by the way. But brilliant free kick by him, honestly. I mean, there was no saving that. But Juan Garcia dived the right way. It was out of his reach. He couldn't reach it. I don't think any goalie was going to reach it. But it was a brilliant free kick. So that's number one. So that wasn't a highline issue. And goal number two, I mean, Sorloth with a tap-in. Really, he had good positioning. I don't think it was a highline. It was like coming from a cross. And Barcelona knows how to defend crosses as well. So the problem with Barcelona, in my opinion, is that in this game, specifically in this game, I think the mindset is a little off a little bit. And most importantly, like I said, I think the tenacity that they play with does catch up to players. I think that the way Flick manages the team, I think the way the players are playing with that many minutes. I mean, we saw Rashford last weekend. We saw him today. We saw Pedri get subbed off a little early as well, which I think impacted the game as well. We saw Eric Garcia play the full 90 minutes. So when you do look at this game, and when you look at the intensity that Barcelona plays at, the question remains, should the playing style for Barcelona change? Now, like I said, I'm not this expert when it comes to football. I'm not a medic. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a psychiatrist, whatever it is, whatever terminology you want to use. I'm not none of those. But in my opinion, I do think at some point fatigue catches up to the players. I mean, you guys can see as well, like even though they had possession of the ball, they had a lot of the momentum. In terms of pressing, I saw less of that from Barcelona. In the beginning, yes, maybe at the start of the second half as well, but then they slowed down like pretty much earlier than usual. Usually, I've been praising Barcelona the way they press the full 90 minutes, but this game was like a little less. And considering that the stakes are high and Barcelona has a lot to lose in this game, I was hoping and predicting for me to see Barcelona press, to see Barcelona putting a lot of pressure on Atletico Madrid. Now, in terms of ball possession, yes. But in terms of who took the big chances or who made the most out of the big chances, it was Atletico Madrid. And now Barcelona has to travel, right, to their home ground, to the Metropolitano, with a 2-goal disadvantage. If this was Real Madrid's situation, I would have no hope. But this is Barcelona. They did it in the Copa del Rey, I believe, where they scored the 3 goals. I think they could do it again, especially in them playing away. I feel like Barcelona knows how to handle pressure. But it all depends on a couple of players, one of them being Lamine Yamal, who, in my opinion, was the man of the match for Barcelona. The best player for Barcelona was Lamine Yamal. It depends on him. It sucks that they don't have Rafinha, but they should have relied on Rafinha. They should be relying on Rashford, Dani Olmo, and most importantly as well, their defense and Pedri. It's a whole team effort. I don't think there's individual brilliance besides maybe Lamine Yamal, who could create magic on his own. But in terms of Barcelona, right, it's not like as Real Madrid where we have to rely on either Vini or Mbappe. Barcelona, they could rely on anybody and they'll get the goal. They could rely on the team as a whole and they'll get the goal. But like I said, Barcelona can complete the comeback, in my opinion. They could do it. This is coming from a Real Madrid fan. I don't want to see Atletico Madrid advance. Barcelona, they're our biggest rival. I don't even support Barcelona. But Barcelona can do it. If it's between either or, Barcelona is the team that could complete the remontada in the second leg. But like I said, it all depends on the mindset and everything. It depends as well how they go up against Getafe. I mean, Getafe should be an easy team to beat for Barcelona. In my opinion, I think Hansi Flick should start the Barcelona B team. I think they have a pretty good lead in the league, and I think they shouldn't risk playing, the starters on the weekend because the second leg they need more intensity. And I do think that the players should rest more in the weekend and have plenty of rest because I think it should be all pressing in the second leg. But that's all for me, honestly. I mean, let me know what you guys think about this game. I do think that in the second leg is going to be interesting. And like I said, it all depends on how Barcelona comes in. But I'm not downing Atletico Madrid. I think Atletico can also keep scoring more. I think the way they played today was phenomenal. I think that they surprised everybody. I mean, everybody was expecting them to just sit in the box and just defend. But they were actually attacking and they made use of the big moments and the big chances that they had. So let me know what were you guys expecting this match to go this way? Were you guys expecting Atletico Madrid to beat Barcelona? Like I said, the only question I have is why did they perform like that on the weekend and then they perform like this today for Atletico Madrid? Thank you very much for those who follow me on all social media platforms. And if you guys are not followed, make sure that you do and watch all the clips that I post at Riyal Roots everywhere. And thank you for those who do subscribe on YouTube, but there is a lot of you guys who are not subscribed, so just make sure that you do subscribe. It does help me out a lot. Thank you very much, and until then, Assalamu alaikum.